video regarding mental health and how, as we're dealing with all these crises and changes things are happening, that just like we take care of our bodies by balancing out what we eat and get exercise and things like that, that we should look at mental health the same way. There are four chemicals that you can actively work into your neocortex, to the frontal lobe of your brain, just by doing healthy activities. And it's great to educate yourself about doing them. Dopamine is the reward chemical. This is what you feel when you learn something new in math or something makes sense. So completing a task, self-care activities like cleaning a room, that satisfying feeling after doing that, eating food that's good food and just enough, not too much, celebrating little wins. These things act together and help turn our outlook into positive motivation towards challenges. And it's a healthy thing to do. So try to do something every day. Wake up with a not to-do list like it's tasks, but challenges to accomplish. Oxytocin, they call the love hormone. This is anything about playing with a dog, baby, holding hand, hugging family. And it's interesting that they list giving a compliment. So this can be translated into showing courtesy or good manners towards anybody you're dealing with. If they're right now, if anybody's doing their job, dealing with anybody in the public, they're under extra stress. So anything you deal with, if they're supermarket, wherever you're interacting with people, if you can muster up the ability to say, I'm going to be positive in my interactions and be good to folks, that is a good chemical in your brain that you want bouncing around. Uh, all of these chemicals in your frontal cerebral cortex. It's makes for a healthy brain. Serotonin is mood stabilizing. Meditating, running, sun exposure, vitamin D. That's a big one. Getting out in nature, feeling something bigger than you, is a great way for folks to find yourself at peace, and even just appreciating a walk outside, no matter what the weather is. Swimming is that thing about being in something bigger than us. Cycling, moving through things is important, but serotonin is a required thing for brain recovery. Dopamine. We revisit this real quick. Dopamine is that rush we feel when let's say you're watching a movie and something suddenly makes sense, or complete a video game, even that, or some sort of puzzle. There will be that sort of cool burst in the front part of your brain, and we actually feel it, and that brings together nerve connections. Serotonin, when we relax, solidifies them. So this makes the road, the dopamine makes the road, and the serotonin paves the road. And that's why meditating, and when we have downtime, putting the phone down. Just put the phone down, turn off the music, listen to what's going on around you, whatever it is. It doesn't take long, 2 minutes. And you feel that sort of lower part of your brain sink in. Consciousness sort of reduces itself a little bit. That serotonin is able to go in there and stabilize these wins and build them up for the next day. Endorphins, nothing is better than laughter. If you're in a rough mood, my son was just reading The Kite Runner. He's got 2 chapters to go. So we had to watch something funny because he was getting a little worn out. Comedy is a philosophical act of laughing through the absurdism of life. There is depth to comedy, and that's why that stuff is important. And exercising, moving lactic acid out of our muscles back to the heart, signals the brain to release endorphins, which ultimately bring health to us, and allows the brain to look for more reasons to reward ourselves and take care of our own body. If you look at these and think about the opposites, instead of completing tasks, letting them hang over our heads, feeling like a win just is going to bring the next loss, and going, I can't, this feeling like we're suspicious of good news, feeling isolated, feeling bitter. If you take the opposite of all this, having trouble with anxiety, instead of letting anxiety sort of pass through us. Instead, we just of holding on to it and creating um, more disturbances and snags in our thought processes, and then refusing to allow ourselves any sort of, not happiness or joy, because that's tough to reach sometimes, but not allowing it to happen and only entrench a negative view. The opposite of all these things is exactly what depression is all about. So I'm not saying we can heal ourselves out of depression. I'm saying that just as well as we would take care of any other part of our lives, physically, whatever, that these are things we can actively do, that if make these things habitual and on purpose, our brain health can be so much better.